oh my God, you smell so nice. Is that your perfume? What they really mean is that it's too much.
Languages like Chinese, Japanese, Korean, it will take you 4 years.
It took me 3 days to master the 2 alphabets because I was just so into that.
It's really possible in 3 days. Yeah, this is what she's saying.
Well, if you just go to them and you're like, hi, konnichiwa, Marianna desu, they'll be like, oh my God, your Japanese is so good. And it doesn't really matter what you're saying.
What if you speak in all of these languages with an American accent?
安くぜない Utel Kukuruz. なんかお話ししたいことがあったら chatem sirium sobre lezuner. Ja jsem velmi ráda, že jsem watching Peppa Pig in the language you're learning. That's the best.
Marianna, you lived in Japan for a year and you realized at some point that there will never be a moment where you will actually feel like you belong.
Yeah.
Tell me honestly, what hurts more? Not being understood or being understood but never accepted?
That's actually a very difficult question. Probably I would go for being understood and not being accepted. Because like in Japan specifically, it doesn't really matter how well you speak the language. You will kind of never really be able to fit in because people don't really accept you in a way. Because like in their culture and identity, language and identity are so connected. So like if you look different, especially if you have an accent, then it's going to be so different for them.
It doesn't help new language learners when they hear that.
I know, however, like the thing is that you will not really notice that if you're just traveling, unless you start actually living there and like talking to them on everyday basis, you will not really notice the difference. Because the thing is that in Japan specifically, they have this, I'm not sure if it's a nice thing or not, but like if you just say, hi, my name is Marianna, for example, if you just go to them and you're like, hi, konnichiwa, Marianna desu, they'll be like, oh my God, your Japanese is so good. And it doesn't really matter what you're saying.
For tourists.
For anyone. If you're a foreigner, like even if you're fluent in Japanese, let's say, if you just say that one phrase, they're like praising you so much because like they know that their language is difficult and they try to show that they appreciate that you're learning the language. However, I've seen people that are like living in the country for like 5, 6, 7 years and they do not really like that thing specifically because they're like, well, we've been studying this language for so long. And that's basically the first thing you hear when you're just talking to a Japanese person. Like to me, it seems like a nice thing. However, when you get that, like every time you speak to a Japanese person, like every other sentence you tell them, they're like so skeptical whether or not you actually understand them. So if you speak Japanese to them, they usually try to reply in English.
Okay.
If it makes sense.
So they get shocked at the beginning. They're like, oh, wow, Japanese. And then if you hear it, of course, for 6 years straight, I know Japanese, and be like, I know it. Like, why do you keep going? I understand it can be very annoying. That's true. But you threw yourself on a deep water, though. And how long did it take you to learn Japanese at all?
So I actually started when I was 12. It happened so randomly. I still remember that day so vividly. Like it was winter. It was my, winter vacation at school.
Do you remember the day?
It was December something. Yeah, I'm trying to remember because like it was like very special to me. I really remember that day so vividly because it was, I think, kind of late at night already. It was 10 p.m. or something.
Even the time you remember.
Yeah.
So
because
that was a special moment for
my
you.
mom would make me and my sister go to bed at like 11 p.m. until 11 p.m. So it was 10 p.m. I still remember that because we were already getting ready to go to sleep. And I just got the sudden urge to watch Naruto and to learn Japanese, like all in one. I was like, I want to learn Japanese. And what I did, I just went to the internet. I was like, how to learn Japanese. And I saw that, they have their 2 alphabets, they have their hieroglyphs. So I was like, well, I better start for free. So I just tried to download their alphabets in like PDF version so that I could practice the writing and everything. So I just went to the living room. My dad was there, my mom was there, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm learning Japanese. So I printed out the shit and like, are you crazy? I'm like, yeah, oh well. It took me 3 days to master the 2 alphabets because I was just so into that.
Wow. Guys, it's really possible in 3 days. Yeah, this is what she's saying. Wow. Now you said it's impossible to learn Japanese. Now we're like, guys, it was 3 days and I'm good.
That was the alphabet. And then I just, there was this website, I think it was called Japanese Pod 101. And they had some lessons
I know
in
what
there.
you're saying because I tried it with Portuguese.
Yeah?
I think I know the website, yeah.
I think they have it for all the languages.
Yes, it might be.
Yeah, so I went there and they had like this 30-day free subscription plan. I got that and I just got so into that. I remember like the whole weekend I was just sitting there and watching the videos. You know, I learned how to introduce myself and everything. Then I was just watching videos about Japan, their culture, their language. I was so in love. So that's how I basically started. Then I just wanted to go there as an exchange student since I was 12. And I got the chance when I was 15 because my school was a member of the Round Square organization. It's like an organization for international schools so that the students can go to one another's school and like on an exchange program, basically. So I went there when I was 15, all alone. Was I scared? I was not.
No, you were not scared.
Nope. I went there for 3 whole weeks, I think, a little bit longer.
For this exchange program?
Yes.
Okay.
I was staying with a host family and like everything was new. I was alone. I was a kid. I was 15.
15 is ridiculous. What did your parents say to that?
So at first they were kind of against that, but then I was like,
Please, I like Japanese.
yes, I love this country. It's my future and everything. I was very persuasive. So it worked. So I went there. It was amazing. The best experience of my life, I would say. It was very special to me. And like the school and everything, the students in there, it was very interesting to me. And there was the first culture shock to me were the toilets.
Oh yeah, I see the nice
Japanese-
ones.
Yes. Oh my God.
That
They're so
you can
nice
actually
in
play
winter.
music. Oh, with this like heating thing.
Yeah. So
How did you react? So you enter the bathroom or what? You see this like
it was interesting because like I was at school, I went to the toilet and I could not find the button to flush the toilet because, you know, I didn't really know kanji, so the hieroglyphs and everything was in kanji. And I was like, well, this button looks special. So I just, you know, touched it. I clicked the button. I was like, I was waiting for something to happen. Nothing was happening. And then 3 teachers just rushed through the corridor. They're like knocking on the door, like, are you okay? Is everything okay? I was like, yeah, I'm trying to flush the toilet. And they're like, you just pushed the emergency button and everything. So the whole school was going into that very much. So that was the first thing that happened.
How embarrassing.
It was very embarrassing.
So where is the flash button?
It was behind the toilet.
I'm trying to imagine it. You would have to send me a video so when I go to Japan, I know.
But like on different toilets, it's like in different places.
Okay, so
You
it's
just
not
gotta
gonna
be
help
very
me.
careful. In most of them right now, they have both Japanese and English writing, so that
Okay,
you
that's
can figure
great.
out. Yeah, but that was interesting.
So coming back to actually learning Japanese, how long did it take you to learn it? Because you said you started when you were 12, you were super obsessed. And then, you know, the moment, because no one can say, okay, I'm fluent. It's hard to determine for every single person.
Right.
So the moment when you realize, okay, people in Japan speak, I understand what they mean. They cannot speak behind my back because I can catch everything and point them out. And I can reply. When was the moment?
So the thing is that, as I said, I started learning by myself at first, and then I got to the point where I could no longer do it myself. Like I needed some guidance and everything. And I'm from Armenia, so there were not like a lot of Japanese-speaking people around. So I did some research. I found a language school, so I went there, and that's how I started like the first few levels. Then I was planning to go study to Japan, like for the university studies. I got accepted and everything. I wasn't able to go, unfortunately. But like when I went there as an exchange student last year for a full year, I did feel like I forgot a lot of things because, you know, when you do not use the language, you forget the language. So I feel like it took me another like 4 months in Japan because I was also studying the language in Japan at the university. It took me around 4 months to actually feel like I understand people around me. Like I understand what they speak, what they say. Yeah, because I was surrounded by the language and I had to use the language.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Because in Japan, how are they with English?
Not very good.
Okay.
Like in Tokyo, I would say that there are more English-speaking people than in other cities in Japan.
Okay.
Like the major cities, of course, like they have English signs and everything. But if you go to the smaller ones, they don't even have English signs. So you got to figure out everything yourself. Of course, you have to Google Translate, but it's not very helpful in most of the times. Like when you would actually need to get some paperwork done and everything, and the bureaucracy in Japan is crazy. Everything is done in paper. So that was actually very difficult because, you know, if you go to the hospital or if you decide to open a bank account, you got to do that everything in Japanese because like they do try to actually, I don't know, explain you somehow in English with gestures and everything.
Yeah.
However, there are some people who, you know, when they notice that you don't speak Japanese and they're like, well, I don't speak English, so I will not really bother. So if you ask them a question, they might be like, I don't know. Like, even if you're just trying to open a bank account, let's say, even, they're like, I don't know.
What do you do then?
You find a Japanese person to take with you to the office or wherever you're going to help you with that.
Yeah, but I understand if you moved to Japan, you already overcame all of the barriers that you had, especially that you were 15. So finding a person who will help you with banking who is Japanese will be
It was
easier.
not very difficult because especially when I was an exchange student last year as well, we did have like buddies who were supposed to help us with everything going on because they also know how difficult it is for foreigners around there.
Yeah.
So that was very helpful. However, you know, as I said, they have 3 writing systems, one of them being the hieroglyphs, and they have so many different characters. And like in order to function in your everyday life, you need to know at least 2,000-3,000 of them. There's no way I can master so many. I probably know like 700, 800, which is more than enough for me.
Yeah. But you can communicate, you can read, no?
Yeah. Like reading is much more difficult. Communicating, listening, and everything is a lot more easier because in the reading, in the writing, they use those characters. And like the thing is that each of them, each and every one of them has like 5, 6 different ways to read them, depending on whether or not they're standing next to another character, if it's a different word. And you just got to figure it out from the context. And like, if I cannot read the first part of the sentence, how can I know the context?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it is very difficult, but I'm having a lot of fun actually learning those because I don't know, it's like some kind of a mental exercise in a way also,
True, yeah.
trying to memorize all the strokes and everything. Also, the order is very important. So yeah, that's actually interesting for me.
People say that languages like Chinese, Japanese, Korean, 4 years. It will take you 4 years. I've had this
Really?
opinion everywhere. Would you agree with that or not? Because you're mentioning to me, oh, I learned it in 3 days. There, oh, it took me 4 months. And I'm hearing this in effortless numbers. Would you say that they need to? Because, you know,
It
this
is
stops people from
possible.
learning.
Yeah.
When someone said, okay, Chinese, it takes 4 years because you need to master the whole alphabet, every single thing.
Yeah.
Is it true or not?
Like it depends on how much effort you actually put into that. Because there are some people who, I don't know, practice like once a week. They just cram for 2 hours and then the rest of the week they're like, oh, well, the language will just come to me. Because a lot of people, they feel like once they hire a tutor and start learning, they're like, well, that's my journey to mastering the language. But not really, because like you actually need to put a lot of effort into that, study every day.
Beside the tutor.
Beside the tutor.
Okay.
Because you need to actually practice everything that you're learning because those 2-hour sessions, they're not going to do much if you're not even trying to use the language. And the thing is that a lot of those people who learn the languages in like under 1 year or in 2 years, they usually reside in those countries and they're kind of surrounded by the people who speak the language that they're learning.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not saying that just living in those countries is enough because it's not. Like, you can live there for 5 years, but if you're not actually putting in any effort, you will never understand them. You will never, like, actually be able
yeah.
to speak anything. Of course, you'll know hello, goodbye, how much, and everything. But
How much? And you just go, how much?
yeah.
You speak several languages from, they are different. This is what I'm going to say. You
Yeah.
speak what? Armenian, Japanese, Russian, Czech,
And English.
English. You will speak in these languages. Say anything that you like. I don't know Armenian, you know? Anything. You can make up a language and you just please speak one, then after another one, then another. And then at the end, I will guess which languages you are actually speaking. You can have a minute for that just to think. But I was also thinking, to make it harder for me, what if you speak in all of these languages with an American accent?
That would be difficult, but I can try. Yes, kuzenai yit utel kukuruz.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Are you gonna guess it, or like should I say
At the end, I'm guessing everything.
Okay.
That's why
So
it's
I should
hard.
remember that also. Hold on. That also makes it difficult for me.
Okay. Could you repeat the sentence, please?
Forgot. Yes, kuzenai yit utel kukuruz.
The English accent makes it way harder. Okay, I know. Let's go next.
Gdyby chwatasiła nieco rzekła, tak kugenai prostor.
Honestly, you're wild. Let's go.
なんかお話ししたいことがあったら、ぜひ私に聞いて confirm.
No, okay, the first one, it sounded like Czech, but then it sounded like Armenian with English accent.
And
The
your
second
final
one
guess?
was Japanese mixed with Czech. You said watashi ya scusa, whatever you said, yeah? And then Japanese.
Japanese with, I think it was Czech in the end.
Okay, could you keep going? Because actually it was quite satisfying when you spoke
Yeah.
with this accent.
But like the first one that I said, it was like a mixture of Armenian, Russian, Czech.
Can you say it again? I can't believe it was Russian.
The last word.
Prostor, you said.
No, that was the third sentence. I said kukuruza.
So you were just lying all over the place. So you
yeah.
never spoke any language.
I did not. No, the second one was mostly Japanese, so you got that, but like with an English accent.
Could you speak Armenian with an English accent? Like fully introduce yourself, say, oh, Armenia is cool, whatever you want to say.
Imanune Marianna, yes, you're Vanicem. Yes, Shatem Sirum Silver Lezuner.
That's so. Could you go with a Czech as well?
Again with an American accent.
Yeah, we're just Americans now.
Já jsem velmi ráda, že jsem
Yes, in
dneska
velmi ráda.
tady.
Like you're
Já
rapping.
Yeah. Že jsem dneska tu a je to prostě obrovská zkušenost pro mě.
My dad actually speaks like this sometimes, and he calls to his Ukrainian friends, and he just puts on these accents. They're like, "What happened to you?" And he's like, "Znaš, slušaj, вот так." I'm like, okay. You mentioned about the fact that you start forgetting the language at some point.
Yeah.
How to deal with that?
It is actually very difficult because well, I'm currently living in the Czech Republic and studying there full time. So as I said, when I moved there, so I was 18, 19, I think. And like before that, I was fully focused on learning Japanese because, I was planning to move there, to study there. And after I was not able to go there, and after I moved to the Czech Republic and started studying the Czech language, which took me 8 months, but like it is crazy, I started noticing that I was forgetting like a lot of things from Japanese, from the Japanese language itself, which was wild because it took me less than a year to forget most of the things that I had studied for so many years. And like it actually did hurt, but then I was like, well, I will go there next year and I will just, try to remember everything back again. I will use the language. But that's the thing, like unless you use the language, you're going to forget that. You're going to forget everything.
Of forgetting the language? In that case?
You
How do I
cannot make a
notice that?
sentence in your head. Like that's actually once you forget everything, basically, like the first signs, not remembering words. Because I'm not sure if you've noticed, but like when you're learning several languages at the same time, when you're making a sentence, like you might think of the words, of some of the words in other languages, and you're just trying to translate like in between one another. And then when you forget one word in one language, you also forget them in all of them. And you're just sitting there like, I can't describe what it is, but like, I don't know the name. I don't know how to say that. So that always happens. It happened to me now again. The thing that you put your food on, not the plate, but like when you go to, I don't know, a cafeteria, you take this thing and you put food. I always forget that in all the languages. I don't know what. Now I'm going to be thinking about
Tata? I think it's tata in Polish. But I have this thing that I remember in one language in particular, and then I'm like, okay, explain it to my Japanese friends. It's tata. So I put my plate on my tata. But you know what I do? I don't worry. I just say it. I choose the language that I know
Yeah.
this word in, and I just go with it, and they somehow accept it. So I think one of my best methods is, even if you have friends and they don't necessarily understand the language. That's how I was learning most of my languages, Bulgarian as well, Portuguese. Basically, to speak to my friends, to my family in this language, and they're going to be like, "What do you mean? Like what?" And I'm saying, and then I'm repeating in this language, and then it stays in my head, you know? So I don't care if no one's going to understand me at this point.
Exactly. Because like the most important thing for you is to use the language. So you're actually putting them in use, which is the most important thing. And I remember when I was learning Japanese, so I was just trying to find ways for me to remember all the words because, you know, they're so very different.
Yeah.
It's not like you can just, I don't know, find similarities in between 2-3 languages and remember the words like that. For when it comes to Japanese. So what I did, I printed out all the words and I was thinking like, where do I spend most of my time? So I put all the words in the toilet. I just put all over the walls, and my family started to learn those words also. And like in like 2-3 months, they could also like tell me the different animals in Japanese and everything.
Nice.
It was crazy, but it works. So it has to be like in front of your eyes most of the time so that you have to read that. So you have to actually be able to implement, to use that in your everyday life. And
So
it
you
sticks.
are pro sticking things on your wall, as people. Some people advise that, to stick things on your wall, stick this where you basically can see it.
That was
and
in the
It
past.
works. Okay,
But
so
nowadays, what I try to do mostly is just add that language that I'm learning in my everyday life. So maybe change my phone language, watch the shows or whatever I'm watching in the language that I'm learning. It can be with subtitles, it can be without, depending on how well I know the show and how well I know the language.
True.
And I just try to implement that in my daily life, to actually practice it in my head, to speak the language somehow. So I would say that's the most important thing nowadays, because like sticking things to places, it might work if you're studying for an exam.
Yeah.
But if you're learning the language to speak it for, I don't know, everyday conversations, or you're not necessarily preparing for an exam, you're not like, your main goal is not to become fluent, not the C2 level, let's say, and use the fancy words and everything, but to just be able to hold everyday conversations, then I don't know, implementing things into your daily life would be better,
Yeah. So
so that you have the input, you have the output and everything.
okay, because people romanticize Japan a lot, and you've been there, you know some things. And what's the one thing that no one warns you before you actually go to Japan? I'm not saying to live, but maybe as a tourist. But you can share both perspectives.
The stares, probably you get stared a lot, and you get silently judged a lot. And the thing is that if you've been studying Japanese your whole life and it's your first time visiting the country,
Yeah.
and you're just so excited to actually go to the, I don't know, the restaurant, finally order your favorite meal with some, I don't know, changes in there for the ingredients. And you get there, you start, you know, using your Japanese, the language that you've been learning for so many years, and the waitress or the waiter just replies to you in broken English, and you're like, well, what did just happen? Because the thing is that like you're struggling a lot. The first thing, like when you're talking to a stranger, let's say you're introducing yourself, you'll say your name, you'll say hello, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, your Japanese is so good,"
All
and
the time.
that naturally makes you really happy, like when it's your first time and everything.
True, of course.
But over the time, you realize that, like, I understand, like, for them, they understand that their language is very difficult, and they try to show their appreciation for you because you're learning their language, their culture, and everything. But, like, over time, you realize that it does not really matter how long you study and how much time you spend on that, how fluent you become. You will never actually be able to fit in because, again, like in Japan, their culture, identity, and the language are so interconnected in a way. And if you're a foreigner, you look different, and you are different in a way. Like the values, the culture, and everything you hold in yourself is so much different from what they have in mind. And that's probably one of the reasons why you can never really fit in. So there are a lot of people, a lot of foreigners who even become, I don't know, citizens, and they hold the passport, the Japanese passport.
Then there will never be accepted as.
Yes. Like even the word for a foreigner in Japanese, like it's gaijin, it's like a person from outside. They have their own bubble, and you cannot really just try to, like, you can try, of course.
Yeah.
I tried. I failed many times. So, like, again, if you're trying to make, I don't know, a lot of friends, you will meet a lot of new people. You will meet a lot of great people. And the one thing you should not really be expecting is to make like really strong connections and friendships in short periods of time when it comes to like the Japanese people mostly, because they have their boundaries, like, and everything. And for me, when I meet new people, I love to overshare. Like, tell me everything. Tell me about your traumas. Tell me everything.
Like I said.
Share everything with me. And what they usually do is talk to you about weather, food. And I'm like, I don't care about the weather. I can check it on my phone. Tell me about your traumas.
About your boyfriend, like, what did he do
Exactly.
last night?
That will not happen with them, at least not for a very long time, until they actually start feeling very comfortable with you, around you. Also making plans with them. I remember when I first got there, it was the 17th of September, and my roommate just came to me and she's like, what are you doing on the 18th of October? I'm like, I don't know. I just got here. I don't know what I'm eating for dinner. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. But the thing is that they like to plan ahead, very much ahead, so that they can also prepare mentally in a way, so that they're going to spend, you know, a full day with this person or with another person. It doesn't really matter if you're Japanese or if you're a foreigner. They just like being, you know, alone in their own bubble and everything. So they just have to prepare themselves in a way.
Are they honest?
They have this word in Japanese, tatemae. So they behave differently in front of you, and they mean completely different thing.
What's the
instead.
example?
So, for example, when someone comes to you and is like, oh my God, you smell so nice. Is that your perfume? That's so great. What they really mean is that it's too much and you're making them choke, basically. So that's actually crazy if you think about that, because usually what happens to us foreigners, you're like, oh my God, they love my perfume. I will use more of that. But no.
Wow.
That's not what they
My
mean.
friend, because I have a very close Japanese friend, he told me that they don't even have a word for I love you.
They do. However, they do not use that
Use it,
very often.
yeah. He was
Even-
shocked when I asked him, basically.
Yeah,
He was like,
and with their parents, with their family, they never say that. So it is actually crazy. Like between the partners also, they have what they usually use is ski, daisuki. It's like, I like you, I
That's
really
what he
like
told me.
you.
I really like you. But
And-
then you say to a friend, and then you say to your girlfriend, and who's more important?
You don't really say it to a friend, or do you?
Okay.
So in a way, if you think about it, you don't like your friends. That is kind of a special word for that. But like you use the same word for food and for your girlfriend when you confess. And they also have the aishiteru. It's like, I love you, but they don't use that. It's like for very special occasions, but still not very often used. And there was this guy doing some interviews on the streets, and he was like, can you call your parents and tell them that you love them?
No, never in my life.
And some people agreed, so they called their mom and they're like, Mom, I love you. At first, like they have to give a full, I don't know, appreciation, like explanation and everything.
Like, why are they? Wow.
They're like, I really appreciate you cooking meals for me every day and everything. And only after that, they're like, aishiteru. And the mom, like on the other side of the phone, is like, are you okay? What happened? Is everything okay? I'm like, so it's not a normal thing to just say, I love you to your parents or anything in a way, so.
Now we're moving to hot shots. Visiting one country for a year or 10 countries for 1 month each.
10 countries for 1 month each. Because then, like, when you spend a longer period of time in each country, like, you get past the honeymoon period and then you start noticing things. I want to remember all country, like, in its
In a good
form.
way.
Yeah.
That's a good explanation. Big cultural shock or slow cultural adaptation?
Slow cultural adaptation.
Oh, that's a new one. No one said that before, I think.
Yeah, because, like, with the big culture shocks, I feel like it's a bit too overwhelming.
Okay, makes sense.
Especially when it's a different culture, different country and everything. If it just comes all at once, you're like,
Makes sense.
Small ones.
Knowing exactly what you did wrong or never knowing why people pulled away.
Knowing exactly what I did wrong so that you can improve.
Okay, that makes sense, especially as a language learner. Speaking perfectly and feeling invisible. Speaking badly but being seen.
Speaking badly but being seen.
What do you mean by being seen in that
Being
case?
understood and like actually taken seriously in a way. Because like as I said in the Japanese context, you know, if you're fluent in Japanese but you still do not fit in, it does not feel very nice.
Makes sense, yeah. A culture that avoids conflict or a culture that explodes emotionally.
The one that avoids conflict.
So Japanese, that's why you fell in love with this country. Dating someone who speaks your language badly or someone who refuses to speak it at all.
The one who speaks badly.
So you're not with someone who is just English and you're saying to them at the end of the day, I love you. It's not enough.
No.
Okay, makes sense. Not enough to me as well. People correcting your language, people pretending they didn't hear you.
Correcting the language. Because, you know, if they correct, I can also learn along the way. And if they just ignore me, it's not very nice of them either.
What if they ignore your mistake? So you speak to them, you make
so the
mistake. It's just my question. It's not from
It
Hot Shots.
depends, because like the thing is that also like in the speaking practice, if they just correct every single word you say in a sentence, just like my Czech teacher was doing, shout out, you eventually kind of, something breaks inside you. And you're like, I don't want to speak anymore because like whatever I say is wrong and she's just going to correct like every single word I say. So let's say you were saying one sentence, she would correct 3 things at least. And you're like, so I cannot get anything right. And it's kind of annoying. So like if you're in a class, of course, like I want you to correct me. But if it's mainly focused on speaking, let me at least speak. Let me say something. Like I'm trying to explain things and I want to be sure that I can do that. So if you just keep correcting me after every single word I say, it's going to break me eventually. And you will not really want to speak the language ever again.
You studied in Czech Republic with a Czech program surrounded by natives.
I'm still in the program.
Was Czech harder than Japanese emotionally?
That's a good one because like for Japanese, I feel like I also had more time and I'm still learning. And for the Czech language, so I had 8 months because I was supposed to learn the language, then apply to the university and the exams and everything. So I had less time. It was much more stressful because of all the expectations and everything. So you were just expected to master the language in under 1 year and then study with all Czech students, the natives that are around you. And I'm like, that was a lot. So I would say it was much more difficult for me, even though like it is very similar to the Russian language. It was very similar in the beginning, but like as you proceed with the language learning, as you, I don't know, go further in the levels, you notice that those languages are so much different.
Sure, yeah.
And the thing is that when I was just starting out, I was like, oh my God, this is so easy. I'm going to be fluent in no time. But then it got more and more difficult. I'm like, okay, I'm taking it back.
Yeah, that's true. That's why it's very annoying when people say, oh, these languages are the same.
Right?
All of them. They are similar, but imagine speaking during the same day, Ukrainian, Russian, Czech, Polish. It's really difficult because then, of course, the accent comes in.
Exactly.
Then everyone has a Russian accent now. Then everyone has Ukrainian. Then everyone has Polish. It's just like so complicated, and your mind just cannot switch. So it's very hard because you need to maintain these.
Exactly. For them, it's all just the same.
What's the difference between how you learned Japanese and Czech method-wise? Not difficulty-wise, but like method.
Method-wise, so for Japanese, I was enjoying it very much.
Okay.
So I just put it in my everyday life. Like everything that I was doing, I was trying to do it in Japanese. Again, as I said, the shows,
From the beginning.
podcasts.
Yeah.
From the beginning, like I was watching cartoons and everything. Not the anime, because that's not a cartoon. But like I was trying to learn it in a way that a kid would, if you know what I mean. But for Czech, like it was only solely in the classroom because I got this program at the language school in the Czech Republic. So I had classes like for 5 hours every day. It was mentally very challenging. It was like very difficult in a way because you had to just use the language during all those 5 hours and your brain was getting tired. So method-wise, I was mainly using the textbooks. I was mainly focused on grammar and everything when it came to the Czech language because, again, I was getting ready to study at a university in the Czech language.
Yeah.
But for Japanese, I was enjoying it so much.
Yeah. How do kids learn in that case? You said you learn more like kids do.
So kids are not really scared of making mistakes in a way. And they try to use the language, and it doesn't really matter to them if they're making mistakes or not because they're just trying to communicate,
True, yeah.
And people say that
goal.
Huh?
That's the goal, actually.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, you're learning the language to speak it. Like, it's also their plain plasticity and everything, but I think I'm over that age. However, it is a bit more difficult as an adult because you put a lot more logic into things and you try to understand every single thing behind every single grammar, but kids do not care why the grammar is structured that way, why this sentence sounds like this, why this word has this ending. They just know it's like that, and they don't care why.
Yeah.
Because why would you? I mean, it is interesting for some people to get very deep into the grammar structure, but the more you look for logic in the languages, the more difficult it becomes for you to master the languages. Yeah. What I used to tell to a lot of people trying to learn certain languages, don't stress too much. Don't overthink the grammar. Because they're like, why is it like this? Why is it like that? It's just like that. Just accept it.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually a very good advice.
Yeah.
You cannot overthink.
Exactly. And kids do not overthink. They don't care why the grammar is like that. They just know it is like that.
And coming back to Japan, what are you doing when natives push back in English?
So naturally, at first, you would still try to, go with the Japanese and everything. Yeah. But at the end, you just give up in a way. Okay. Because if they just keep replying in English, you're like, okay, I might as well just use English. But the thing is that I'm not sure if you've heard of the term Japanglish.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they are using Japanglish. And when you speak English, they may not understand. Very well, at least. Okay,
so you mix this Japanese that you know already with English, and then they somehow know.
Yeah, it's like speaking English with a Japanese accent.
Okay, that's exactly what you... Oh no, with a Japanese accent. Could you present?
So, hello would be haro.
Haro. Oh yeah, with this r.
Haro. My name is... And the thing is that there is a song, Japanglish. So McDonald's is makudonarudo. When you say McDonald's to Japanese people, they do not understand.
It's the same with Brazil. TikTok, Instagram. It's not Instagram, it's Instagram. Guys.
But I find it so crazy that they really do not understand what you're talking about. McDonald's?
That's so fascinating. Every country has that. Because now also Slavic countries, they come to me and I'm like, in Polish, when you speak fluent Polish, and when you are going to McDonald's, you say, I'm going to, idę do McDonalda. Mm-hmm. So you're making it as Polish as possible. And if someone is going to say, idę do McDonald's, they're going to be like, did you lose your mind? Why are you why are you trying to be English?
Exactly.
You have to make everything so it's understandable by them.
Exactly. But they just change all the words. And once you get the grip of that, you understand things. But for a lot of foreigners, they just try to figure out what they mean, even if they speak English. And the thing is that they very often mistake the, they cannot really understand whether it's an R, an L, and a V or a B.
True, yeah.
So I remember when my friend came to visit me, not to visit me, she was studying in Armenia, but she stayed with me for a day. And my mom was like, so how was the flight? And she said it was very long. So I was staying with her that day, at a different place. And my mom went home and she was just thinking the whole time, what was wrong? Because she arrived on time and she asked if everything was okay. She said, yeah. And she was just very much, curious about that. So I got home. She's like, so what was wrong? I'm like, what was wrong? She's like, she said it was very wrong. It was very wrong. I'm like, no, she said it was very long.
I was really what was the meaning?
Yeah, so the flight was long. It was not wrong. So unless you know those tiny little things, you cannot really understand that. But again, that's part of the language, part of the culture.
Okay, now we're moving to the opposition. You see the box that you have in front of you. You randomly pick one popular belief. Mm-hmm. about language learning. You know, typical beliefs that people are like, oh no, but only kids learn, whatever, you know, these are the hated ones by me. Your job is to defend it or destroy it. And my job is to be on the opposite side. I'll be incredibly annoying and I'll disagree with everything you say, and your job is to convince me.
Yay.
So please, yeah, let
So you should avoid mistakes.
Wow, perfect one. Tell me, yeah.
So I personally really think that you should not, because that's how you basically learn. You should make mistakes, and you will over time like realize that those are mistakes. If nobody actually tells you that it's wrong, you will realize yourself that it's wrong and correct yourself, and eventually you'll become fluent.
I don't agree.
Why?
Easy. It's super easy. When I make a mistake, I have this thing that I just, you know, close myself. I won't keep going because I made a mistake. So if I make one mistake, I prefer to stay silent, actually.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting, because I think it depends on person. Like, for me personally, I am okay with making mistakes. But of course, like if people, you know, they just try to correct you all the time, as I said, it might break you and you might not want to speak it. But there are people who are like, unless I am fluent, I will not say a word.
I am like this. I am like this. If
but
mistakes,
how will you
they
become
destroy
fluent
me.
without mistakes? Because
No, I will read my books, I'll prepare, and then when I actually know the language, I'll keep going and I'll speak.
that's not how it works.
Oh, what do you mean?
Because like through the books and everything, that's the passive way. You actually have to put the output there as well. You can like get the input, you can listen to people, you can read things. But when it comes to speaking, like the thing is that for most of the language learners, like they're very good at reading, they're very good at listening. But when it comes to actually speaking, they just sit there and freeze.
But I don't need to speak now.
Why not?
I like Japanese books. That's I want to read, but as you said, you know, Japanese people, they are not very inviting when you speak the language. You said it yourself.
Yeah.
I'm
well,
applauding
not
your
in that
success.
way, but like they are actually very nice. And the thing is that if you want to actually understand their culture, you need to also learn the language. And eventually, at the end of the day, why are you learning the language if you're not going to speak it?
But what if I speak like a robot? So I will rethink every single thing. But wait for that. I know how it sounds. I'll have it in my head, but I'll just speak a bit slower. So instead of saying you didn't worked, you know, I could say that if it's a mistake. I'll be like, yeah, so you didn't work. You didn't work. It sounds okay.
It does. However, I wouldn't really be friends with you. Okay, just kidding.
Why?
Well, the thing is that when you're talking to a person, especially when you speak to different languages and you're just trying to communicate, like in not a classroom, let's say, you're just trying to talk to one another, not to just practice the language, but to actually learn things about one another. If the other person takes so long to think about the right way to say the sentence, you will eventually get bored.
I disagree, because pause is what makes, you know, someone who's speaking
You're like
special.
preparing them.
You cannot speak like, oh yeah, so I was going to the shop and yesterday I was no one's going to be interested in that if I speak. Okay, so I was going to the shop. You see, you got interested.
I mean, if it's for a podcast, then yeah. But like in real life,
in real life, waiting a minute to say I was going to, and then
and
like
the person's
a minute.
like, "You're going
Where
where?
are you going?
You were going where?"
Okay, I don't know
So-
who won. You'll of course judge us, because like I feel like I won, but I also feel like you won. But at least choose the next one.
Okay, watching content is enough.
Okay, I'm against that.
Are you?
I think watching content is definitely not enough.
They agree with you.
No, you cannot agree
Okay.
with me.
Well, it is enough, because when you're watching content, let's say on YouTube, you pick up actually the real way people speak in the language you're trying to learn, not just the textbook phrases and everything.
Girl, it's just the input. Your words.
Watching the content is enough because, well, I'm pretty sure you have a mirror at home, so you can also say it back. Also, when you're watching the content, you can do shadowing.
Oh.
So,
Yeah, but you
That's a
need to
powerful
speak
way
to
to
a real
learn.
person. Like,
not really.
okay, watching the content, you know, people are not, you have smart people on the internet, but you also have people who are not very smart on the internet, or
Yeah.
who are trying to mislead you. And if you're watching content only, you have so many mixed opinions. You never know what to agree with.
However, when you're watching content, let's say you might as well have an idea like if the person is famous or not, if they're making actually good content or not, if it's interesting or not. If, for example, if someone is filming their everyday life things, let's say doing vlogs on YouTube or putting language learning
Vlogs are
podcasts.
nice. I like vlogs.
Yeah, you pick up some natural phrases, natural ways people speak, because especially in Japanese, there's the textbook Japanese and there's the real Japanese. And I'm pretty sure it is in almost every language. However, like it is, you can see it very clearly in Japanese specifically, because everyone who's just starting to learn Japanese, they go with this book called Minna no Nihongo, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows that if they're learning Japanese. And the first sentence you get there is with Mike Miller, I'm sorry. And everyone is just like speaking in that very specific sentence structure. And Japanese people are like, no, we don't say that. So you wouldn't really go there all the way in. Watashi no namae wa Marianna desu. No.
Yeah, but okay, content is one thing. Yeah, you described it, but like then I need something else.
For
What if I want to go and be a doctor on my university and teach my students?
Well, in that case, you will watch content about that stuff.
Okay, I cannot believe that you're defending that, you know?
Me neither.
Okay, last one.
Okay, you got this one. Immersion is the only way.
Do you agree on that with or no?
No, it is
Why?
not. Because, like, no, I do. No, it's
Oh
not.
no, first word you said you agree with that.
Did I say I agree? No, I said I don't. Yeah. Okay, so you use the language every day. It's great. Immersion. You watch content in that language. You try to have that language as much as possible in your daily life. However, if you do not use the textbooks and grammar and study actually the real way, only being around the native speakers and everything will not be enough.
Okay, you're saying the real way how they speak is found in textbooks. That's what you said.
Not really, but like if you're studying to go to a university or if you're preparing for a job, you might need to know like the
And I'll speak like a robot.
Yes. Not really, but like you would want to sound at least a little professional because like if you learn through immersion, if you're catching phrases from your friends, from the vlogs you're watching or everything like that, you will not really know the professional language. Like you might know slang and everything.
My friends, they have an amazing vocabulary. They don't use slang at all. It's banned in our friend groups. So we use only sophisticated words. So I will just find a professional like this and they will teach me by immersion.
But then, like, if you want to get into a university or if you want to get a job, they require a certain level of language knowledge.
I don't want to.
But you might need to someday. Okay, well, in that case, if you don't want to do that, you might want to know your level of the language you're learning. So if you want to check that, you might need to take an exam. And the exams usually check, like...
I'm very stressed while I do exams.
But if you know what they have in the textbooks, you will not.
Okay, I think it's impossible to either win or lose this one because these are ridiculous enough.
No, I'll give you this one. Kids learn better.
Do you agree?
Yes.
I don't agree.
How come?
Kids don't know what they are saying.
Exactly. So they're not actually scared to make mistakes. They pick up words much more easier.
They don't know what these words mean. They pick up and what? They just use a helicopter and it's not a helicopter, it's a plate.
Yeah, they're not like overthinking that. They just use it until they understand.
But I won't understand as a mother. I'm not, but like I won't understand. If they're like, can I eat this helicopter? I'm going to be like, are you...
But then they will explain it to you. They
how?
are so good at explaining things. The thing is that, so when I was in Japan, I also went on this camp with like different age groups of kids. And it was an English camp, so they were trying to practice their English. And I was trying to practice my Japanese with them. So the thing is that I I feel like the best teachers I've had were those kids because, you know, they speak Japanese to you, of course, like those are kids like 5 years old and everything. So naturally, they wouldn't really be very fluent in English, like unless they were raised with that language. But in that camp specifically, they were not very good at the language. So they would just mostly speak to you in Japanese. And like when I would not understand something, they would explain it in a crazy way, and I feel like those are the best explanations I've ever like been given. So
So what you're basically saying now is adults cannot learn a new language.
they can, but the kids do it better because adults tend to overthink. They tend to I don't know, look for logic and everything in the grammar structures and words, and they just make it so complicated because, again, adults are more scared to make mistakes. Kids are not. Kids do not care because, like, even in English, you know, when there are, like, the past forms of the words, and for kids, it's all AD.
Yeah.
They don't care about the irregular verbs. And for the adults, they're like, is it a regular verb?
Okay, you
Is it
won
a
with this
regular-"
one. You're not going to. I'm not sure if I agree or I disagree, but it's not an easy take.
Like a lot of adults, they're like, well, I'm not a kid anymore. I cannot learn this language. No, you can. You can, of course.
Yeah, but that's true. They overthink every single thing. That's why it's so hard to explain to people, don't worry, just speak. And they're like, oh, but how can I speak if I have whatever? Like, just speak.
Exactly.
In that case, what's the fastest way of losing confidence in a language and how to stop that from happening?
So a lot of people think that it's all about the motivation and everything. So when you start learning a language, you have this huge motivation because that's the thing that drives you to actually begin the learning process. And like over the time, it's natural, you're gonna lose the motivation. But like you need discipline to actually continue. And the thing that can actually stop you and I don't know, actually the thing that can get on the way is probably when you do not really get the chance to use the language a lot or when you make a lot of mistakes again and one day you just wake up and you're like, oh my god, the day will never come when I actually master this language and I'm fluent. And you have to be okay with that because it will come over time, of course. But again, your main goal should not be becoming fluent and everything. You should enjoy the language learning process because the moment when you get to the point where people actually understand whatever you're saying, when you can talk to people, hold conversations, talk about anything you basically want, you know the language. You can communicate. That's the whole point of learning the language. Of course, like if your main goal is to hold that C2 certificate in your hand and take a picture with that and be like, yay, I made it. Yeah, you can keep going. There's nothing stopping you. But of course, there will be like moments when you feel like giving up and you shouldn't.
Wow. People also say that the most difficult part about Japanese is kanji, I think. Is it the truth or
It is very difficult, as I said. Those are like the characters, the hieroglyphs basically that came from Chinese. In reading specifically, they're everywhere. Writing, reading, and especially when you're writing by hand, the stroke order and everything, as I said, there are multiple different ways to read one kanji itself. And you need 2,000, 3,000 to actually be able to read the newspaper. And it is a crazy number of kanji. But the thing is that once you actually get into the learning process, it is way easier to acquire every other kanji, basically, because they do have some logic behind themselves. Again, I'm not saying that you should look for logic when learning a language because you should not. In most of the language, there's no logic. In English as well, because you have the grammar, but then you have so many exceptions, and there are more exceptions than grammar points. But anyway, well, for Japanese, yeah, kanji is definitely the most difficult part because they also have like different ways to talk to different people. So, for example, if it's a friend, you talk in a different language. If it's your boss, it's completely different. They have different ways to say the same thing. And it's not even similar. Those are two absolutely different things.
Sentences.
Huh?
Two completely different sentences. Because in Slavic languages or in Russian, you use like вы or ty, But
In
is it this or a different
no.
thing?
In Japanese, you change the whole thing. The grammar is different, the words are different, and the whole structure is just different.
Você, I mean, in Brazilian, você is, from what I know, because I use this one, is to everyone, but I think tu sabes, for example, is to, as I would say, to you, but if there is like an older person or someone where I have to show respect, I say você sabe, I think. So there is a difference, but I think it's only with this like grammar kind of little things.
Yeah.
But if you say it's like the whole thing.
Like even when you're studying Japanese, they have few other lessons specifically for that language, the professional one, the one you use to speak to the people who are older than you, your boss, or higher than you in a way that, let's say, yeah. So
Yeah,
you
we
should
know your
use
opinion.
that language with them. So yeah, it is very complicated, very different, but again, part of the culture, and it's there to stay.
You lived in Japan, in Armenia as well.
In the Czech
You
Republic.
traveled to Switzerland.
Yeah.
And as you
Also
mentioned,
the
Czech
US.
Republic and the US. What's the difference between all of these countries? Like,
The
what are the differences? What
countries.
are the things that, because these are completely different words,
Yeah.
and I understand they shaped you differently.
So most of my adult life I spent in the Czech Republic. I'm saying most of my adult life as if I'm not 22. So so before that, like I lived in Armenia, and we were kind of traveling during the school years also with my parents and everything. But I feel like the major life-changing point of my life, when you're like, well, there's before and after, was the time when I actually went to Japan when I was 15.
Yeah.
So I feel like everything has changed after that, and I view things in a different way. And I say it very often to people, it is very important that you get out of your comfort zone, especially until you reach the adulthood or until you're 18, because the longer you stay in your comfort zone, the longer you stay in the country that you are from,
Yeah.
the more difficult it will be in the future for you to actually move to different places. Like I talk to people, they're 30, 40, and they're like, I've always wanted to live in this country. I'm like, so go there. So why don't you live there? So why don't you move there? And they're like, well, now it's too late. Like I have responsibilities. I have this, I have that. But everyone has responsibilities in a way. Like I get it. You're an adult. You have a job and everything. You can get a job in that country as well. But like when it comes to other countries, so for Japan, like it was very different. Like it's a whole different world. And I know, everyone just says that in the videos when you watch something about Japan. They're like, it's a different world and everything. People are like, oh yeah, well, no, it is real.
It is
like
actually
once you
different,
step in the country and once you go to places, you talk to people, you're like, no, the way these people think, the way they do things, it is so different than what the people from other countries do. I also lived in a way in the US for like 3 months with the work and travel program. So I was a lifeguard there. And again, people there are so different from all the cultures, from all the other countries as well. Because the first thing that I noticed when I got there, they are so nice to you. Everyone is just, talking to you, complimenting
What's this
you.
shirt? Like, it looks great. Where did you buy it?
Exactly. But then over time, someone just told me again from the US, they're like, oh, well, we do that all the time, but like,
It
it's
doesn't
not that
mean
deep.
anything. It's
Yeah.
just
I know you feel good, but that's it. But for the Czech Republic, it was very difficult for me in the first year. Let's say because I moved there. Well, at first I was alone. Then my boyfriend also joined being there. It was difficult in a way that, you moved there completely clueless in a way.
no language. No
Like you just packed all your life in one suitcase. You moved somewhere.
How come did you choose Czech Republic?
That's interesting because, as I said, I was planning to go to Japan, and the plans changed in a way because, well, I got accepted to university, to Sofia University. I got 30% scholarship, which was not really enough, but then it was also during the time of COVID. So it was everything all at once, and it just did not happen, unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know. So after that, I took a gap year. I was planning to go to Switzerland because my sister is also there. So I was like, it would be easier for me to actually study there and everything. So I was learning French. I was getting ready for the B2 exam, and it was almost the time to apply for the university, the application period and everything. And I was like, do I really want to go there? No, I did not apply. So then my boyfriend suggested that we go to the Czech Republic. So we did some research. There was this language school and everything. So we applied and we just moved to the Czech Republic because, yeah, that
Does he
was
speak Czech?
random. Huh?
Does he speak Czech?
Well, we learned the Czech language together at the language school. So
Thank you for everything. We have the tradition in our podcast that the previous guest leaves a message, a method, a statement to you, so to the next guest, and you are being confronted with that. It's not my opinion. I have my opinions, so which you'll probably understand which are correct and which are not. And they say just using books for grammar, only books for grammar. It's the worst language learning method. What would you say to that?
about the worst method, I would say any method that does not really include input and output together. Like if you have only one, it's not enough. And most of the people just focus on textbooks, grammar,
Yes.
the apps, the language learning apps, which do not really provide speaking practice. And they're like, well, once I'm done with this book, I'm going to be able to speak to people. It's not going to happen.
That's
You're
what
not
I guess,
using the
yeah.
language. How is it? It's not going to come to you overnight. Or another very bad method would be putting your textbook under your pillow and hoping that you will wake up fluent.
That's the first method I said in the first episode. That's the best. Sorry.
It is very bad. It does not work, unfortunately. I know from a first-hand experience.
Believe her.
Yeah, there are
So you would agree? You won't agree that. No, you will agree that the worst language learning method is only books for grammar. Like it's not true. But you agree with the previous.
kind of,
Person,
yeah. Like it is deeper than that, I think. If you use only one method, then it's not going to be good. So the worst method is using only one method.
And what's the best language method, language learning? I will share it with the next guest and let's see their opinion.
Watching Peppa Pig in the language you're
best.
learning. That's the best way.
Only Peppa Pig, no other.
Of
just
course,
Peppa
other
Pig.
things as well.
No, only Peppa Pig. This is what you said. This is how I
That's the
interpret
main thing. That's actually very important because, well, of course, you start with the textbooks. Main thing to do when you're learning a language is to make it enjoyable.
True.
Once you start treating it like work, some task that has to be done, you're gonna lose interest. It's not gonna be fun for you anymore, and that's the last thing you want to happen. So what I recommend is to add it in your daily life. Set your phone language to the language you're learning. Watch the content, the movies, and everything you're already watching in the language you're learning, so that you kind of combine the enjoyable things with your goals. So that, and also
Peppa Pig. So I'll just tell the next guest that Peppa Pig.
yeah,
I'll just
you
leave the
watch
rest
and you shadow.
and let's see what they're gonna
Yeah,
say.
the
What's
Peppa
Peppa
Pig.
Thank you so much. The last thing, very last, I promise. We're taking a picture just for our fake polyglot wall, and that's it. Thank you so much.
Okay.